dosage pick-me-up. One particular elixir promised to energize the weary and stimulate the nerves. Strychnine tonic. Yes, strychnine, the same substance better known as rat poison, was once a common ingredient in over-the-counter remedies and even prescriptions. In the early 20th century, tiny doses were believed to act as a stimulant for the nervous system, especially in treatments for fatigue, digestive issues, and even erectile dysfunction. Often marketed under names like nerve tonics or digestive bitters, these formulas were diluted enough to avoid immediate poisoning, assuming the dosage was followed precisely. Bottles often contained alcohol as a base, along with herbs, spices, and strychnine nitrate or sulfate in homeopathic quantities. The kick wasn't imagined, it was chemical. As medicine evolved and pharmacology became more precise, the risks of strychnine began to outweigh its perceived benefits. Even in minuscule doses, repeated exposure could trigger muscle spasms, anxiety, and in severe cases, respiratory failure. Accidental overdoses weren't uncommon, especially with vague labeling and inconsistent formulas. Before colas and lemon.
I'm looking at all the banned foods that we can't serve no more. So these are all the banned foods that we can't serve no more that they had like in like the 1920s and 30s and shit like that.
Lemon lime took over American soda fountains. The reigning flavor of old-fashioned refreshment was rooted, literally, in the forest floor. Drinks flavored with sassafras oil, especially old-school root beer, were beloved across the country in the 1920s. Extracted from the...
It passed up the food already. It's going to the drinks and medicine, supposedly, no.
Bark or root of the sassafras tree, this oil gave beverages their spicy, sweet kick, instantly recognizable and uniquely nostalgic to anyone who grew up with it. Sassafras wasn't just flavor, it was folklore. Touted in tonics and homemade concoctions, it was believed to purify the blood, cure colds, and promote general well-being. Home brewers and soda companies alike used the oil to produce batches of root beer and tea, and it was often enjoyed chilled on porches or poured over ice cream for months. But in the 1960s, researchers found that safrole, the main compound in sassafras oil, was carcinogenic in high doses, linked to liver cancer in lab animals. That discovery changed everything. The FDA swiftly banned the use of safrole in commercially produced foods and drinks. While artificial sassafras flavors remain legal today, the real oil is strictly controlled. Long before artificial flavoring revolutionized the dessert world, luxury kitchens leaned on rare and exotic ingredients, none more curious than ambergris, a substance famously described as whale vomit, though technically it's expelled from the other end. Produced in the digestive tracts of sperm whales, ambergris was valued not for its origin story, but for its deep, musky aroma and subtle, earthy flavor. In the 1920s, it was a sought-after addition in perfumery and, more surprisingly, in food, especially high-end desserts. Used sparingly, ambergris was grated or steeped to infuse puddings, custards, and jellies. A dash could transform a dish into something elite, with European aristocrats and American chefs using it to add mystery and luxury to the final course. The high cost wasn't just for show, it was supply and demand. Ambergris was, and still is, extremely rare, often found floating in the ocean or washed up on shorelines. Over time, ethical and environmental concerns caught up with the practice. As whales became protected under international law, so too did the trade and use of anything derived from them. Long before meat came shrink-wrapped with sell-by dates, families across America relied on a more personal process, uninspected home butchery. In the 1920s, it wasn't unusual for households, especially in rural areas, to raise, slaughter, and process their own animals. Hogs in the fall, chickens on Sundays, a steer if the family had enough pasture. The butchering block wasn't in a plant. It was often in the backyard or barn, with knives honed by hand and recipes passed down on index cards. Everything was used. Meat was cured in salt, sausages were stuffed by hand, and lard was rendered on the stove. Food safety came down to experience and tradition, not regulation.